Exactly, yeah, very creatively, kind of, it's kind of smart. It was like, this. Yeah. I can see. A lot of fish. What's the name? Serendipity of someone that's on a team. Over this regular meeting for the council. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic and one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Quickly, before we begin today, I want to recognize a recently passed election today. It was last Saturday, and want to recognize all the veterans that work in the borough and work for the borough. We appreciate their service. Generally, at this meeting, we will recognize veterans that we have that work for us, but we've recognized all of them at this point, I think. So rather than we don't have that many, but I want to publicly thank you to all of you and yours, and anyone here who has served our country. Call to order, roll call, please.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Present.
Mr. Cameron.
Here.
Mr. Morales. Here. Turner. The Woods.
Here.
California.
Thank you very much. The first item on the agenda this evening is the public portion of the meeting. I'm sorry. This meeting is being held in compliance with New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, and advertised in retrospect on the bulletin board downstairs, and then all official social media channels. For those of you joining us here this evening, please make sure to put your cell phones on silent. If you need to speak to somebody, do so outside of council chambers. So now, public portion of the meeting. Anyone in the public wishes to come forward, speak on the topic, please state your name and address.
Very good, sir. 201 Page Avenue. I'm here with the Gracie, but I also wanted to begin to broach the topic of the community center exterior. Would this rotting still be out there? I just wondered if there's any plan to speak and address that.
We are aware of it and are constantly multiple times a year seeking funding to try and repair it. It just has not been we haven't been able to secure any of that funding yet, and B, unfortunately, has not been a priority as of yet for the buildings and grounds to capitalize that project.
I know there are a number of concerned citizens about it who would be very happy to help raise money to help them do the work. We see it very often being about in the town, and it's really getting bad, but it's going to affect the integrity of the integrated. So,
Absolutely.
Garden control using in Westminster. So I wanted to ask, we'll talk about the native town regards one. I think everybody's familiar with them. So there's three. Two of them are doing great. Teams like Luxembourg, butterflies, and caterpillars, and millipedes, seed corn, and sorghum. One of them, which is the middle one, so there's one that's close to center, there's Uzito, there's one that's close to Morris, and then one in the middle. It's in front of 7th West Chestnut. It's been completely overrun with mugwort. So we have spent quite a bit of time getting mugwort out. It's a big process. It's probably going to take 3 years or so. So we're trying to figure out exactly what to do there that will allow us to get rid of it. It's right by the not in front, but close to your house. And so we did get rid of all the mugwort. DPW picked it all up for us. Big huge piles of it. It was unbelievable. And with that being said, I'm going to talk to the seed company. It's a seed company called Conservation. They're really, really well known in the area, with great reputation, really can't buy seed unless you talk to them on the phone. So they know when you're actually planting seed, so that they give you the right cover crop that's gonna make sure that that seed survives. So they really worked with us. I'm thinking we might be able to get some free seed from them, because I think that what happened was the seed that we got from them for that garden must have had these mugwort seeds in it. When we eradicated the mugwort, we had about 10 stalks out of all the pollinators that were actually established in these pollinator gardens survived. So with that being said, Ron Smith's Naturalist Club, they're the ones who excavate, they get the mark up. From the utility company, they excavate, they plant seed. They're ready to plant another pollinator garden, which I think is great and good. As many as we can have would be a good thing. Because once they're established, they don't need too much upkeep, and they are obviously attracting wildlife and good for the environment. It's less to know. So we picked a spot, and we are here to ask you if it's okay to go ahead with it. It's going to be 10 by 20, which is the same size as the other 3. And it's going to be near Browning, and it's going to be east of the Browning Chestnut intersection, next to the incredible Sunlight Clinic, which I thought, and we're trying to figure out what to put in there. We're thinking we need some kind of perennial edibles, so there wouldn't be too much upkeep there. But anything that she decides to put there is going to benefit from the pollinator garden, obviously. Just like our community garden benefits from the native pollinator garden along the golf course fence. So we're also, we ordered seed from Ernst, in anticipation of Naturalist Club doing this, and I just wanted to, I didn't know the process, like to buy things, here, or write a letter, I don't know, so that's what you're for.
Yeah, generally what will happen is we'll get a map. It'll say, hey, this is next phase.
Okay.
But you can submit that after the fact. I mean, I'm aware of the incredible.
Okay.
So I'm.
So you did, so
Yeah, there'll be a global map that we keep that says, hey, these are where the pollinator gardens are. This is where Edible has their gardens. Just a comprehensive map that we are aware of. I don't know. I know one's been submitted previously. Do we keep that map?
I keep it in a file, but I don't.
No, I mean we actually update that. We update that map, or do they? And then we just say,
I just take the map and I put it in the file.
okay, so we have an existing conditions map, what we'll call it. Do you guys have a copy of that? Is the question.
Well, you probably got it.
Right. So
Matt.
I would just take that map,
Oh, Harry, that's right.
I would take that map.
Yeah.
And I would. You guys can draw on that map and make it an existing, you know, what you're proposing, and I mean, I don't need you to do that before. You put this together, I'm comfortable with the existing process and structure, we just wanna make sure we have it in place, because that. Is the map that we give to our public works, so they're aware of where to and where not to.
Yes, and initially that would be the issue.
Mhm.
There, you know, don't know here, I know it looks like, you know,
Right.
it should be, but yeah, initially.
It is generally roped off.
Yes, it is, but. Yeah. Sometimes things happen,
Yeah,
there's weed whackers, you know, there's weed whackers can go anywhere, you know? So I do have one other. comment too, but, the green team wrote a letter on September 28th. Regarding the pedestrian walkway project. You were asking if we could be, get in touch with CME, which is, it might. be fun. We talked to them at one of the meetings here. To have just a discussion about, incorporating sustainability into that plan. I know that letter when should have gone to the, cancel.
yeah, and I know Mike has reviewed the letter and is working with the DOT to implement some more sustainable stuff. I was on a call with him where he was talking about the concerns the green team had. There is concern about putting on the rain garden because of the maintenance side of the rain garden and us saying, hey, that's not something that we want to buy right now because we have limited staff. But they are working to try and maintain sustainable elements of the project. So he can update you on that. We expect some of those final design stuff. And in, yeah, our plans certainly because what we wanted were sustainable and native and plants that didn't require a ton of upkeep.
So, I mean, what kind of maintenance is involved, like, for instance, the rain garden that exists right now?
Rain garden that exists right now apparently needs a ton of maintenance and is, it needs to, it hasn't been, and so it's not draining as well as it's supposed to. This is what I was told by Mike in the call, in fact, that he has noticed that.
Okay.
So in terms of maintenance, I don't know. I'm not gonna tell you, I know the exact maintenance plan. But I can tell you, and this is not a slight toward the public works, they don't have the skills to do it. And I was not in a position to commit for a volunteer group to say, yeah, go ahead, put another rain garden and they'll maintain it.
Yeah.
If that's something that we put together and there's a commitment, then, you know, let's say we're gonna commit to deal with this rain garden and that's an element that will include the plan. And it's the green team or the garden club, whoever it is. Then we could put that in place, but that's only so good too, right? Ultimately, it's a volunteer group, and if they're unavailable, that will fall on public works, and then it will fall to the bottom of this public works. So, I get very concerned about things that require maintenance because we just don't have the staff or the resources.
Yeah, and a lot of things should have done. Yeah.
Correct, and so when I hear they say it takes more maintenance than it looks like, and you should be wary of that, because if it isn't properly maintained, it won't drain as well, and you'll have issues, and I just very concerned.
No, I totally agree, but the letter, I thought was pretty clear that we wanted to be somehow involved in discussions, because there is a level of expertise on the green team as it relates to those kinds of things that I think would be really helpful for the town. And, you know, the letter was mentioned to be sent to them to be read. I wanted to have the discussion because, you know, there were people on the green team who were involved with building that rain garden, are involved with maintaining the rain garden, improving rain garden over the years. And they're really much more aware, I know Mike's an engineer, but they're more aware of how much goes into that rain garden than he is. So anyway, that's what that letter was about, and, you know. One of the biggest concerns in that letter was the existing trees and preservation of some of those existing trees. Can you talk about that?
I don't, we didn't specifically talk about the existing trees, the one tree on the opposite side of the park next to the fire station. I know that that was a tree that there was a lot of concern about. That one, as far as I understand, in all plans, is staying and is part of the plan. Some of the trees in the middle of that area will not be stay. It's just, that's not possible. It's not tenable to the project, and we will certainly do what we can to replant, but we just won't be able to keep all of those trees that are sitting there in that middle of that trunk.
So you're not basically none of the trees.
I don't have a plan sitting in front of me, but I would suggest that it would be minimal, that it would be saved in that triangle.
Okay. All right, so when is that gonna be presented, and when are we gonna have an opportunity to
Yeah.
talk about this?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, when do you know?
We don't have a date, it's not gonna be until the first quarter.
Oh, when is it gonna start,
I don't think they're gonna go to bid probably until spring at this point,
with what's construction starting?
probably next summer.
It has to be done in 2024.
I believe it has to begin in 2024. DOT understands, obviously, there's been a number of different things that occurred as a result of delays from COVID. All the way up to, we're gonna have to seek additional funding, supplemental funding from DOT for this, because the costs for everything that we're doing there have increased exponentially. So, that all, you wrap that up in a big bow and it's more delay. So, the hope is that it will be done, by 2025. That's my hope. I can't guarantee that.
All right, thank you.
So, being of the public, we'll close the public portion of the meeting. Move on to the approval of the meetings, minutes from September 11th. And it would appear that Mr. McClune and Mr. Woods are available to vote on these. The right motion. So moved. Second. Have a motion in second. All in favor? Aye. Voting, none abstentions. Okay. Engineers report. Mr. Weeks, to you.
Last Thursday, November 9th, the meeting was out there about all PSCD, it's got the flat walnut preparation team. We're able to have a council member, which crowd, with that meeting, we're here in Belgium. We made clear what the issues were with the council direction was. They provided copies of the moratorium ordinance, and they've acknowledged their responsibility. We're still waiting for schedule for them to do paving work. So, this one, this response.
Okay. I would assume that paving work won't happen this year.
I would imagine, would it be associated with that?
Yeah. All right, we'll just stay on top of them, you know, the fact that they acknowledged, I guess they acknowledged that they would respond. They didn't acknowledge that they would respond.
There's some paving work, they will be doing paving. Yeah.
All right, well,
Okay, in addition to, we asked them about, having like other representatives from the electric side. And what's the investigation of the building, maybe how this some of the issues that happen. Okay. Even with that, we're ongoing, so. So I'm just looking at it. Well. We'll see what we got with that. We're planning to submit the construction officer permit. Working with them in the document, keep this, the plan approved. We were able to, we received the fund that, for this way we can forward. You know, the for that next year. The existing playground work, which is I think in Gen 2 for some playground equipment, looking for some, some designs beyond what's in the agenda for, for future phases. But,
Questions for Mr. Lee? Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that time. Yes. Correspondence. Any correspondence? Tom's mentioned with regard to our award of municipal aid, we're reporting the amount of $238 here. So. We received that, nothing else? Okay. We move on to council things. Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Your Honor. Since we have a proposal for the drinking here, I'll put a plug in. They have a meeting tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And from the Merciful Shade Tree, they met this past Thursday to approve the tree planting plan for 2023. They will be putting 10 new trees in our public spaces, so we're staying pretty much on par with our removals in the year, and slightly higher as we continue to deal with some of the declining trees that we're made aware of after we did the tree inventory, but we're trying to do our best with the funds available to replace the trees that we're removing. And that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Is there any discussion? I know the tree inventory feels like it was just completed recently, but what's the best practice for revisiting that?
So this actually came up at our last meeting. Apparently, there's some money available through the American Rescue Plan, or no, not the Inflation Reduction Act. That we may be able to tap into some money to update our tree inventory, our risk come out and look at it. I mean, we do our best as trees are removed, as commissioners go around and see a declining tree. We update it as we can, but they're not professionally trained to identify disease trees and what might be happening. But it sounds like that's something we might be able to tap into, so we encourage our funds to potentially update our inventory.
And I don't want to create a ton of extra work, but I think it would be helpful if you might be able to get an update on how many sort of priority one or how many of those trees have been moved over the last
We got years that really needs to work.
pull that data, because I'd like to see sort of what progress we've made on our priority list and at the same time continue to monitor how many get added on the back end.
Yeah, and I mean, how many was priority 2, priority 3, they're now priority 1,
And I understand, I think maybe that's something that we could present in like the first, maybe in January, February.
Yeah, so I think if we get here, certainly pull that information and get to everybody.
That'll be helpful, and maybe as we move towards budget time to identify, hey, maybe we think a significant increase, also depending upon any grant application deadlines.
Yeah.
For the funding to be started.
Yeah. So,
Okay. All right, other questions? Thank you very much. Ms. Morris?
Court report here, so my determining for the borough, the block labor was $2,706.33. The cases that were added were 205 and 366 cases were disposed of. The month of October, there were 22 in-person court sessions and 5 virtual. We had scheduled a regional diversity committee meeting for this past Tuesday, which was election day. Unfortunately, there were not enough numbers and attendance to hold that, so we will be holding our next diversity committee meeting on Tuesday, December 5th, here in municipal hall.
Okay. Good. Questions? Hearing none. Good.
So the Board of Ed for October, I think that will do a hydrant flushing, so I have nothing to report there, except their next meeting will be held on Monday, the 20th. Board of Health has met twice, once in October, once in November. We have some really good members as a part of that organization, we're out there taking on, different small projects and roles within the group, and the big one we're looking at in 2024 is to conduct a full scale, community health assessment. Public events, thank you to Rebecca, to all the other volunteers that help all throughout the month of October in Munsterville. As always, it was great, everything new, everything old. It's always, a big deal here, and I've heard nothing but good things from everybody involved. Mercantile Business Professional, they had their on meeting on October 10th, just going over, primarily just working through till the end of this year. As far as what they were doing with their Monsterville participation, it's the fundraiser that was held in Eclipse. Thank you to them for holding out on the 19th. In November, we have Small Business Saturday taking place on the 25th. And I know that the Commercial Business Professional Association is working on something special for that. News that you probably pretty soon. From the OEM, the county's reached out for some data information. I reached out to Lieutenant Callaway about that, just to make sure that he's on the county's list as our current OEM coordinator. I'm hoping to meet up with Lieutenant Callaway soon again with reflecting and some of stuff. I didn't get a chance to meet with him last month like I originally planned. From the DPW end, leaf collection's begun. The community center has been cleaned up once so far. We're going to be continuing to do that throughout the months of November and December, as long as it takes to get stuff out of it. The snowplow, salt brine spreader, and salt and brine spreader, sorry, we're all for the maintenance are good to go, depending on what the snow and ice situation is going in the winter. Tree was removed on at Church in St. James, and they'll be moving next to remove a tree at 102 St. James. Some minor issues with the two trash trucks that we'll be looking into. There's fuel problems with both of them, so we might potentially be looking to do some larger things through them in order to keep them going. Otherwise, that and then also the supervisor that was in charge of trash collecting, we rolled that off. I think I might have mentioned this in September. If I have, I apologize for repeating, but the supervisor we had a very good working relationship with. He has left, so Kevin is making it a point. Patty is making it a point to really keep an eye on trash collection, make sure that the level that has been going is increased as they get on new supervisory through new supervision. And that's all I have for this.
Thank you. It's certainly not matching to the other sector, candy sector.
Yeah, that was pretty right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We received no. It's creative when you have two,
Right.
or three,
Five.
5, 10, 20. Thank you, and Councilman Fitzgerald, and it's nice to hear that the board of health is actively moving along. I think there's some real interest from the members to be involved, so that's very well. Have you identified it? We had to say I still don't know. Okay. Okay, that's great. Any questions?
Mercantville Police for the month of October, involved in 1,294 incidents, 109 traffic stops, 97 parking enforcement incidents, and 10 arrests. In the monthly report that I received from the chief, did highlight a couple of areas as it related to Halloween nights. First, I think the bicycle patrol was fairly well received by residents and trick-or-treaters. He did have some challenges, thought it was a little ineffective in the center of town due to the size of the crowd. I think they had challenges even navigating the bikes in some of the streets because there were so many people on Halloween night. Crossing guards also got, positive feedback, positive reviews. This was the first year utilizing crossing guards, and we will definitely be using them, going forward. There are concerns in speaking with the chief that the traffic issues, parking issues and crowd is becoming a little bit, unmanageable that night, again, from his perspective, from a public safety perspective. So I think it's just something while it's still fresh in our mind, kind of think about, you know, what options do we have there, for future Halloweens. There was a good number of calls for service that particular night, a couple incidents, there was even, regrettably, unfortunately, one officer was struck, by a juvenile, and that was again dealt with, the Camden County Prosecutor's Office. But overall, I think the chief has expressed concern in the conversation that it's a very big event, it's a very big deal that night, and like from 7 o'clock on, you know, there's unsafe conditions out there, and so, again, I think it's important to understand, what options we have at our disposal to provide a safe environment. All right, moving along, October was another busy month for training, just some of the highlights. Chief Rossi and Lieutenant Calloway did go through that police licensure training overview. Lieutenant Calloway and Sergeant Klein attended the one-day domestic violence attorney general update seminar. Corporal Rigobuda was quite busy going through a 4-day standard field sobriety training, a 1-day firearms training, and a 2-day child abduction response team training. And then Officer Queen also did a 5-day street survival training. We did have 2 members of the Merchantville Police Department pay our respects for Sergeant Richard Ferrer Menendez. He was the officer killed at the Philadelphia airport on October 12th. So Merchantville Police were there for his funeral services on October 24th. On October 11th, Lieutenant Thomas Whalen was removed from patrol due to a medical procedure he had received. Officer Balistan's last day of employment was on October 22nd. He decided to take the position at the Berlin Borough Police Department. Detective Marone has gone back on patrol due to the personnel, the shortage of personnel at the moment. Lieutenant Calloway and Chief Rossi will be absorbing some patrol assignments to alleviate some of the burden on the members of the department. Again, due to the officer resigning and one not able to work, I think everyone has seen the hiring announcements that have been out there since the beginning of September. 8 applications received. 3 of those applicants have moved on past the background phase, and they are conducting interviews this week, I think Wednesday, I believe, on a couple. And I do think they have at least 2 pretty good candidates that hopefully things will come together on that. So again, the chief is looking to be holding as soon as possible. That's all I have for this evening now. Any questions, comments?
Questions, comments? I will just, you know, add that I think that our police did the job in the night of Halloween and month ago. I thought that they were well received. That police the call that was great. You know, they certainly deserve sincere thanks because I think it made it a much safer environment for a lot of people and gave them peace of mind. So thank you to our chief and police department for their work there, and everybody who's involved. Certainly, I think continue to monitor our safety concerns. Mr. Farmer.
Just 2 small reports. One is on the vacant properties. We have 7 commercial properties and 7 residential properties vacant. Only 3 of the residential properties are a problem. Some of the commercial properties we need to kind of talk about the way to kind of figure out what we're going to do with those and how we're going to people. But the 3 residential properties, One is in court, one we're about to address, and then the third one, we have a 6-month time frame to run out, so we can take the property, which is one right here next to the school. We're gonna do it by receivership, so. The other thing that I just want to kind of highlight, also did pop up is that. Well, and I believe, whoever was on this, and I hope that we listen to that. A lot of the residential property fines, and getting going after the property owners that are not resident property, we issue fines against them. If the homeowner fails to appear in court, the court is just dismissed the ticket, not dismissing it, just they have no additional benefits, they're not on the benchmark. By guidance in the Superior Commission. So the teeth that we have on some $50, $500, $100 fines isn't that significant. If we can turn some of those amenable offenses, that would give us teeth that someone would not run a $50 ticket to become amenable. That's against the property. And that might be the way to kind of go about it. But in order to do that, we would change the ordinance to allow for these fines to be. So I'm not saying we should go all out, just something we should think about. I'm not saying we should actually do this yet. It's almost like, burning down our house to get rid of that. How many people we actually have doing this in town, but it's, right now it's very limited. So it's just understanding about if we go to forward with this, might be something to kind of just consider. So I'm gonna ask him to kind of bring some more that we could kind of figure out how to kind of make that, or we can kind of talk offline or that, just to think that through. But we literally, this is a specific issue that happened over property. And we're being asked, some things we're trying to address to kind of crack down a little bit, should people be properties. Let's see, the only other thing I have is for the budget meeting, which is asking the adopt resolution in the amount of $2,897,256.81. Again, the majority of those funds are transfer funds to the county and the Board of Education. So, but
Question, Mr. Brown? Thank you very much. Clerk?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to let you know that Mr. Watson will have his last day on the 29th. Instead of the 28th, we're going to have a lunch for him at Borough Hall. If anybody's interested, we'll have it at 12 o'clock, and just let me know if that's if you're going to be able to attend. And he will have been here 39 years. So if you can join us, let me know. Also, I sent a text out earlier, and Mr. You responded. We will probably be looking for antique vehicles, probably to get whoever is available, mayor and council, to walk in the parade. And if you know of anyone that would like to be in the parade, please let us know, because it's a little lower than it has been in past years. So if you know of anybody, tell them to give us an email, something like that. Borough Hall will be closed on November 23rd, 24th to Thanksgiving. And the cookbook, the orders are, it's online, please order your cookbook, and we're looking for everyone to get a recipe. So
Pre-orders started today.
pre-order started today, $40 a cookbook. So that's all I have. Probably still a range from that one.
You're one, Mr. Brown. It's worth $40 in that, so absolutely.
Okay.
And we got, did you just make a call to the town, for people to walk down the parade?
Yeah. Yes, we.
What are you looking for, entity?
Okay,
Oh, yeah, who pulled out and doing your thing.
we're okay, we just had, sometimes in baseball and basketball and school, bands, so we're just trying to make sure, remind everybody that the parade is, coming up, and if you haven't, put your paperwork, okay, we're good.
Okay. Very good. Questions for the clerk? Hearing none, community development report.
Thank you. So we had our first meeting the other night for the upcoming Marshall History Night in February, which is another signature event for the 150th anniversary. So we're beginning to plan that, and we'll probably be reaching out in the coming weeks or month for more support from everyone here on that as we continue planning. You may have noticed the old Merchantville Diner got a facelift in the last week or two, new windows, some exterior paint on the brick, and our newest restaurant, Thai Ginger, is preparing to move forward and will be opening in the next few days or next few weeks. That's been great, which is about our cover. I think that's it.
Okay. The Thai Ginger, like that building feels like it's owned by, right?
Yes.
Look down. They're wandering money through it. The premium model.
Yeah.
All I know is that it's not on the walls.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Rebecca, the one thing that I wanted to bring up that is not on the agenda, but that, is sort of tangential to the public spaces, and I missed the last meeting. I was away from work, but, there's this discussion of food trucks and utilizing food trucks on, borough property. And I had occasion to meet with a food truck business who had indicated that their very slow months are generally from this time of year, basically December through the beginning of March, when they're not really out, open, going around events. And sometimes they just close their food trucks down altogether because it's just not working. And they had suggested that maybe if there was a space where they could just be open 5 days a week, like a normal restaurant, and they would show up there, they'd be there all day every day, being in a facility, that might be something that could work for them. I had indicated to them in this discussion that our biggest concern always was how to protect the business here that bought properties, that pay, that lease, that whatever, and pay tax. How do we deal with that? How do we manage that issue? And then I said, well, what if there was a fee that was essentially equivalent to what the taxes would be? Somebody who's just paying for a property to have, run a restaurant. Is that something that would make sense? Whether, let's say, it's $300 a month or $500 a month or something like that, to be able to be stationary in a spot and compete against the businesses. And they seem to think that that was not sort of cost prohibitive, that they could still make a living and stay open and willing to try it for $1,500 for one, plot at an area of town. So I wanted to bring this up in October with council to see sort of where everybody stood on this. I'm trying to strike a balance between generating interest, bringing in food trucks that might generate people who may come here for that food truck, support our other businesses. Coach is a business that obviously uses food truck a lot. But we have a number of other events that occur through the winter where we use food trucks. And whether or not for a fee that would be reasonable, the council would be willing to think of.
I got guys like the food trucks.
A component.
Yeah, the big one.
Yes, sir. You two are like around the
Yeah.
I didn't mind. Oh, yeah, I'm not trying to.
Yeah. So, I think the only limitation I would probably consider for them is the nice thing about food trucks is that they usually have food that's really interesting and different. But we also have some interesting and different restaurants and kind of focus here. So as long as they're not the same, And what our businesses are serving. Like, I'm usually gonna get taco, I'm like, I don't think, like, we have a good taco place in town, I wouldn't wanna bring in a food truck that did tacos. You know, because we already have some tacos, like, so understanding what those gaps are, I think would be, you know, the barbecue, like, we have no barbecue. You know. Like, that's a great, you know, and some of the flares they do on like Americana, or it might be, you know, I think there are options that are definitely out there that we could definitely do. You know, I'm not worried about competing with like the Blue Monkey, you know, it's a very different environment. You know, just something to think about, but I'd be able to see like, you know, do something to move in, and what do it.
Yeah, I mean, my experience with food trucks in the one city that I've been to that is really heavy on food trucks and like stationary, it's all in Texas, which is incredible. What they've done with food trucks, they basically just stopped rolling one day and just said, this is now where I'm going to my restaurant. And clearly the climate in Austin, Texas is slightly different than Mercerville, New Jersey. In, you know, the actual climate, so that you can be outdoors, there's a lot of outdoor seating and stuff there. But I just found the energy there to be great, really through a lot of people, and I felt like if we had a few food trucks that were sitting in an area on a regular basis, it might be something that drives, you know, from an economic development standpoint, people come here, spend money, visit our other offerings in town. So that's kind of where my mindset is, and I don't want the barrier to be us saying, well, how can we protect our businesses? If we can find a way to both protect our businesses and just make it about competition. But I don't know, maybe it's obviously a larger commitment that you police agreement for a long term. Fairness,
I think I would do a vote for.
that's what. And I would say, okay. You know, I don't, in my very, very rudimentary lawyer math, I looked at Aroma, which does not have any residential above, right? And I said, what's the taxes on that building for an annual? So break that down monthly and say, that's what you're gonna pay. You're gonna pay for 1 quarter of the year, you're gonna pay a quarter of the annual taxes. Or to have here, right, to break it up in a monthly permit or whatever. And that was like where I went initially. Because they've made the investment in the truck, you know, it's just a different way of running a business. So, I mean, I'm supportive of it if we can find a balance that still need, you know, doesn't undercut our business. That's sort of where I'm.
Yeah, I think that's remarkable how many businesses, food trucks be coming in. And certainly it can be a start, we can do it for a year and doesn't work out. Yeah, well, I think agree, and if you.
I would, yeah,
agree, you know, do 3 food trucks, like the little square, right, by the 2 clips.
I was thinking of even, you know, again, very rudimentary. You just put 3 concrete blocks, say these are where the food trucks park, and that's it. And those are the only, it will only be 3 at a time, or you limit it that way.
I make the investment in like putting up the picnic tables, but that's not maybe how that works, because there's certain tables when that people used to that. But I mean, I have no problem doing that investment, you figure it out, I'm saying that I think you should. You know, just think about it.
Yeah.
I think it's it would be fun.
Yeah,
It's gonna be different than the other town, the other towns.
no, they do it around other events, like it's an event based thing.
Yeah.
But if you just made it part of the restaurant and food offerings of your community, I think that it definitely. And I, you know, in my mind, everything goes to that triangle and the redevelopment and that, what I would call the east side of that development, which is at this point, you know, probably gonna be some sort of passive recreation with, you know, park benches or picnic tables. Maybe an amphitheater for, you know, space where people can have events and things. And you can imagine parking 3 food trucks or 2 or 3 food trucks in that area, and that just becomes part of the sort of ambiance and offering of that area. So, okay, any other thoughts, John? I'm not happy to speak on behalf of this community.
I mean, I think you made a strong opinion of, yeah, you hit it on the head in terms of, I think. Those past experiences were a little bit different in terms of permitting fees and other things like that, whereas in the past, the food trucks were kind of wrapped in with the market, so it taking place more regularly, there was some confusion about how long they could say. I think it, like you said, the balance of each truck, where if they're still that feeling that they're not getting a free ride on public land and not being faced with some of the financial hurdles that, or financial investments that businesses in town have to make. I think there'd be benefit. But again, I think it's fine, like we said, it's finding that balance and that level of fairness for it.
Cindy, anything?
I think of the businesses that were once upon a time food trucks and then they become restaurants. Sure. A couple I know, and then talking like that, used to be a food truck, now it's back to that old spot.
Yeah, any moment people that you want to.
That's what.
Yeah.
Those are the businesses.
Andrew?
18 months max, and then.
I'm a proponent as well, my recollection past the business that is protested and we tried to do this. We go back like 8 or 9 years, like, farmers markets. So that, but there's socializing. Yeah, we gotta do the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I like the idea. Well, I'm gonna continue my discussions, and see what I can sort of figure out, see if there's an option there, and it may be a trial period, like Councilman Wood said, maybe we do it for a year, or even just for a quarter, do it for 2 months. See if it's worth it, because I doubt that we're gonna be able to do it in December, or maybe it's January, February. And see if it would be worth it for them, even 1 or 2 food trucks in that area. I like the idea that Mr. Turner has not to compete. Same time, I'm not sure, that would be more on us to attract the types of trucks rather than limiting that in any legal way, so, okay, great, I just wanted to take the temperature. So I'll move forward. Sean, if you get an opportunity, you can say that we've talked about this, and it's something that we're considering. And if they have feedback in the form of maybe other fee structures they've seen elsewhere, or other restrictions, fairness, competition, I'm happy to consider those as we practice sort of our policy. Well done. Thank you. Okay. See you moving forward. Nothing? Okay. We move on to new business discussion, best practice questionnaire. I saw a questionnaire, said that. And we were successful again in achieving sufficient funds, not for state aid. So.
Good. Some of the questions that are new are lead, and that's what we really need to address with the lead paint in the rental properties. And we're working on that, so. And that is on best practices. So,
Right, there was, that was just a recent goal of in the last 18 months, and there has to be inspections, all those things. Is there a larger agency beyond the borough of Merchant that's going to take the lead on creating that inspection service?
well, all the different towns are asking what everybody's doing. We haven't decided that yet, but we have taken some
Are you sending your kid out there like that?
We get a grant for.
Right.
There were 3 of us that took class. So we know how to be a technician as they are. And, but it's a process that we have to determine. So at this point, the county looking into, everybody's looking into it, but nobody has any answers.
Should we just handle this like we handle our sub-code officials and charge a fee to the landlords, and just let the sub-code official, we make it a net neutral situation? Where
That
fee, they expect it.
That's one of the options. The other option is the landlord can go out and do it.
Right, they can, I know that they can provide a certification.
Correct.
Okay,
So we're working.
all right.
That's not cheap though.
No, that's not cheap.
No.
Which is why the option of cross inspecting is usually the better option.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. We have a number of resolutions this evening, to be read by consent agenda. Does anybody have any objections, any that they want to pull out? I will, just before we go too far. Resolution 23-142 and ordinance 23-18, ordinance 23-19 are related to the ordinances we introduced in the past previously, and the resolution we passed previously related to the bank building and the redevelopment. However, unbeknownst to us at the time, the culprit had submitted a different name to the state than what we have approved. So we have to do it all over again. So,
Right, did we, hold 143 to the private session for a very, very brief discussion?
okay, we'll have a private session, so we'll pull out 143, and we will approve that. What we have the private session. Everyone else okay with everything? Okay. Resolution 23-135, paragraphs contained that advance resolution 23-136, chapter 159 for 2024 NJDOT grant in the amount of $238,000, $352. Resolution 23-137, authorizing 2023 budget transfers, resolution 23-138, approved payment for the 2022 NJDOT road project, resolution 23-139. Authorization for extension of contract for traffic signal and school flashers. Resolution 23-140, transfer of tax sale premium from trust to current account. Resolution 23-141, certifying a lien against certain property. Resolution 23-142, designating FNB Hospitality Urban Renewal LLC as the developer of block 29 lots 2, 6, and 14, authorizing the execution of an amended and restated redevelopment agreement with FNB Hospitality LLC. Resolution 23-144, approval of purchase playground equipment with co-op, and resolution 23-145, NJDCA Sage Grant for American Rescue Firefighter 2024 project. I have a motion. So, second. Mr. First, second, Mr. Woods, roll call.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Mr. McGlynn.
Yes.
Ms. Morales. Yes. Mr. Turner. Yes. Mr. Wood.
Yes.
These ordinances, can we have them on the 27th November?
But, we had a meeting on those. Okay. So just change that in the agenda to November 27th. We count how many days, count Friday, and tell me if there's 10 days.
Where?
10 days that are not
Counting Friday?
counting Friday, but not, yes.
10 days, 26, non-holidays,
No.
so the 27th is 10 days. There's only one holiday, right?
So you can't count one of either, you count the Friday or you count the last day, you can't count both of them.
Okay, so December 11th it is, but we're gonna have that conversation too, because if we're gonna have a meeting on the 27th, I think we should move our meeting to the 18th for December. Because we're only on one meeting now.
So.
But we'll talk about that later.
So we have a December meeting on December 18th, is that what you're saying?
I was going to discuss with council
Okay,
the idea of having the second meeting in November.
okay,
And then we only have one meeting in December, and I would prefer that meeting to be on the 18th rather than the 11th, and not meet until January, whatever. A full, almost month later.
that's fine, I just would, but we have to keep the ordinance on the, whatever the date is in December.
Right, that's why I brought that up now.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So let's, before we get into the ordinances. 18th of December is a Monday.
Yeah, that's my phone, Carson. So I didn't see it.
As opposed to the 11th. One meeting, because I'm not sure we're gonna be on Christmas.
Don't think there's.
I don't want to. We was in the early.
The Board of Education does that when we say about.
Maybe we should have a meeting on. Let's say we're 30 here.
Good idea. Okay, so we're good for the 18th. I think we can get it formed for the 18th, have a meeting then as of the 11th. Okay, let's do that. So this ordinance for introduction first reading, we're to consider adoption, public hearing to be held on the December 18th council meeting. Okay?
And also that are you having the November meeting, the second November meeting
Yes.
as well?
27th.
And we have four. Okay.
All right, ordinance 2318, authorize the execution of amended and restated groundings of block 29 lots 2, 6, and 14, also known as 9, 13, and 15 South Center Street, lying within the borough of Mercerville. Pursuant to NJSA 48:12A-8, FNB Hospitality Urban Renewal LLC, by the motion to introduce that. Second. I need a motion. Turner, items, Woods, with this second. Any discussion on that introduction? Roll call please.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Morales. Yeah. Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 23-19, approving the application and amended and restated financial agreement for long-term tax exemption with FNB Hospitality Urban Renewal LLC for the project improvements set forth in the application on block 29 lots 2, 6, and 14. So, second. Turner first, and open at that time, Mr. Wood, second, roll call please.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Mr. McLean.
Yeah.
Morales. Yeah. Mr. Carter.
Yeah.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Okay, bring it.
I'd kind of like to move the resolution, $2,897,6.81.
I have a motion second. Mr. Woods with the second. Okay, any discussion? Roll call please.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Morales. Yeah. Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Announcements, do we have any announcements? The only announcement is, don't forget, holiday on the 4th. I know the 27th is, we will have a meeting, but get your tickets. You get to see the influence on old.
That's my first stop.
Yes. I hope I have. I'll be there.
Wonder, how is the house organized and how early that really is? You take the motion, please.
Yeah, well, we have it about a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Already there. Okay. I can't wait to hear about it so I can decline next year. That's hard, including summer. Yeah, I'm sharing the budget and. Yeah. First. Okay, I'll entertain the motion to move to private session. The matters of contract negotiations, first, the second, we will likely take action when we come out. And it's subject to resolution 23-1. I have a motion second, one favor. Those, thank you.